Laura Day, and I am a poet and a teacher. I will introduce myself in my Indigenous language, which is Shawnee. The Shawnee people are originally from the Ohio River Basin area, and our reservation is now in eastern Oklahoma. In Shawnee, the way that I would introduce myself in a community is I would say, Hakahoe silasamamokwe, Laura Day Netesito. Our greeting verb, lasimamo, is to breathe. So instead of English, where we might ask, how are we doing? In Shawnee, we would ask, how are we breathing? And I'm going to be leading us through an activity that centers how we notice the air around us and kind of breathe into the space as a source of creativity and curiosity. And this is a technique or a strategy that I often use as a poet. Etymology is kind of like the history or story behind a word. And in both Shawnee and English, breath is really baked inside of the language we use around creativity. So in English, inspiration comes from the same word, same kind of root word as respiration. So it's like the breath of creativity. To be inspired is to kind of have the breath of creativity move through you. And of course, in Shawnee, our entire greeting concept is kind of hinged around how we breathe in together. How your breathing really does relate to your emotional state. So, breathing calmly is a really different emotional feeling to kind of like maybe hyperventilating in a space of worry or trauma. One of the most human things that we do when we begin to observe our world and kind of seek creativity is we're breathing into a space. It's the way that you fundamentally take in every particle of the land that you're on and become deeply connected to that place. What we begin with is the heart of an idea or interest. So I often like to start with a central word or phrase, an idea or an emotion. It could be like a keyword. It could be a part of a kind of scientific observation that we're about to kind of dig into. It could be an emotion that we're processing. You begin with this word, kind of let it come into your mind. You let it saturate a little bit. Find and add a kind of air. What's really powerful during this step is allowing a sense of freedom and mobility. Walk to a window and open it and just kind of notice the way that the air is moving in the space. Sometimes I might even look to a vent and just see how we are all circulating through this air. Watch maybe the sway of a tree from outside a classroom window. This is also a space of imagination. Open this idea to what kinds of airs exist in our world. You can have a really gentle breeze. You can have something really dynamic like a tornado or a windstorm. And each person can begin to fix upon a kind of air that they want to follow metaphorically to kind of guide their ideas and to open this space of inspiration. That symbol is going to get invited into the process of writing and observing right over the course of a wind pattern and see how that unlocks an idea in a different way. The wind can move this beautiful scent down a mountain sometimes in the summer. That's the concept, that you're opening a space where each person can catch that little piece of inspiration and move to it in the way that works for them. Hopefully, each person has found this form of air that can move the idea and has a visual sense. It can be really fascinating to see the way that a main idea or emotion, it moves a little differently across a breeze than it does, across a hurricane. It's really natural too to have a process of stalling, just like air does. So it's totally normal and important to maybe find that a person has completely stopped and isn't quite sure what to do. That's a really powerful time to think of how we actually take in inspiration and how we process. That pausing is really powerful. And air does that too, right? This can also become really liberating, where new ideas have this permission that comes from maybe breaking the linear structure of how we usually brainstorm on paper or on a computer or even verbally. So this is a great time to add maybe research that comes up, areas of interest, images, ideas, phrases, words with no kind of prescribed end space. We don't really have a space that we need to end in. It's the process becomes the curiosity of how we can take this main idea or emotion and let air come in and move our minds and sometimes move our collective ideas into a new space. What new ideas came up? Did this process create excitement or calm? There's no right or wrong. We're all on land. We're all utterly bound in this great kind of web of mutuality with the land that we're on, the weather that both creates us and we create, and all the ecosystem. Like I think that that's a piece of education, but also a piece of humanity that is sort of critical to our best understanding of how we learn and how the way that we learn impacts all of us, each other, in the land that we're on. We are all creatures learning on the land together. Some of the hierarchies of, well, what is scientific thinking and who gets to do it, I think break down a little when we reconnect to place and land and air, that really unites all of us. Air is one of the fundamental ways that we note where we are